Peace and blessings. Alafia, Yanakushe Nakabo. Bienvenue. Um, Akwaba, Karibu Sana. You're tuned into the African Ancestral Manuscript, the Jellybot channel. First of all, I'd like to push my newest book, Broken Coal Nuts in Our Grandmother's Grave. Please call up on Wigani Grave. This book is very in demand. It's available wherever books are sold online, from Walmart.com to Target.com, to Amazon, of course, to Barnes and Nobles, to Book Depository. Do if you go to look for it, or you can also contact me. I have my author's copies, which can be signed, and you can get your copy. We're gonna go delve into the African Ancestral Manuscript. We've taken a little bit of a break from the different ancestors, the different stories we were telling, just so people can catch up with the material. I think we're a little bit ahead of our time. Today, however, we're going to talk about a great polymath. We had the end of May, which hasn't been done. We guarantee we'll be doing it once we pick up some listenership and some viewership. Dès qu'on a plus d'internautes, we'll be getting that to you. But today we're going to talk about Imhotep, a very important person, who one of the only people to have actually been deified like the Christ after he lived. That means he had such a meaningful life. The people in Kemet thought he had to be deified, and he was worshipped and venerated, even by the Greeks, as the god of medicine. So let's go into Imhotep. His name means Imhotep, to come in peace, Imhotep. So that's what he did. He came in peace, and his genius was peacefully expounded across time, space, and legacies to come. He's not that stupid, ridiculous creature in The Mummy 1 and 2 who's chasing a European girl through time and lifetimes. See, that's what they do with our heroes and sheroes who are great people. They malevolently denigrate and desecrate their name, so people perceive them as being villains and no longer want to associate with them. Every black man, woman, and child should want to emulate Imhotep, and I'm going to tell you why. Here's the story of Imhotep. Eel. How? Wande ya Imhotep Pinti. Imhotep was one of the greatest Kamau, or ancient Egyptians, to be recorded into the annals of our story. His name meant, like we had indicated, to come in peace, Imhotep. And his life was a testimony of this great adage. Born on May 31st, 2665 BCE, before the Common Era, to a family of commoners in Men-Nefer, or Memphis. Yes, they named the city Memphis in Tennessee after the city in ancient Kemet, which was on the banks of the Nile and was the capital of Kemet for a very long time. So he was born in Men-Nefer, Memphis, and Imhotep became the world's first recorded polymath. Polymath, once again, is somebody who is a genius and masters many different things, which sometimes people fail to understand, that somebody can master so many different fields. Imhotep is credited with being the founder of medicine and with being the author of the medical treatise of the so-called Edwin Smith Papyrus, containing anatomical observations on ailments and also their cures. So he had a whole branch on Western medicine and chemicals, but he had a second branch of herbal remedies as well, which when you put together, we have the great materia viva of medicine. They have taken the chemical part and used it to make allopathic medicine, but the whole natural remedies parts and foods, which he also talked about in this papyrus, has not been included. That's why people are so unhealthy. As one of the officials of the great pharaoh Shechem, Djoser, he designed the Pyramid of Djoser, the Step Pyramid. Wonderful sight, wonderful. I've been to the Step Pyramid. It's a beautiful sight in Saqqara. If you ever go to Kemet, go to the Step Pyramid. You will be delighted at the wonderful thing. Remember, he built this like 5,000 years ago, and it's like he built it yesterday. Okay, so he's first known. He designed the Pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara in Egypt. in 2630 BCE to 2611 BCE. And there's a very great video, which I will share soon, on how these items were built, how they actually melted and then reformatted and cooled down the concrete so the blocks would be built through solar energy and solar power. It's a great video which I just watched, which breaks down the technology and how highly advanced and green that technology was. So we were way ahead of our times with Imhotep. Okay, so he was responsible for the first known use of columns in architecture. As an instigator of the ancient Kemetic culture, Imhotep idealized image lasted well into the Ptolemaic period. His idealized image lasted well into the Greek period in ancient Kemet. The ancient Kemetic historian Manetho created him with inventing the method of stone-dressed building during Djoser's reign. It is true that the building of the step pyramid, something the size of the step pyramid, and made entirely out of stone, had never before been constructed. Before Djoser, pyramids and pharaohs were buried in matsaba tombs. That's the little tombs which are not half as high as the pyramids. Now let's make it clear. The pharaohs were not buried in the pyramids. They were put there until July 14th, where there was the solstice, or that was the peak of the summer, where it was perceived that their spirit would go straight to Orient. Once after July 14th had gone by, they were taken out of those pyramids because they were just vehicles for the spirit, and then they were interred somewhere else. So they weren't really buried in there. There was just a ceremonial spiritual upliftment through the actual perforations in the pyramid that allowed us to channel right to Orient. Okay, so that was what was going on. As a vizier and prime minister of Djoser and high priest of Pharaoh Djoser, Imhotep excelled in statesmanship. The Upper Egyptian famine stele, dating from the Ptolemaic period, bears an inscription containing an account about a famine of 7 years during the reign of Djoser. Imhotep was credited with having been instrumental in ending the famine. So he was able to channel in the river Nile, the irrigation, so that the famine was able to end. That was a great wise man, not only building things for the sake of vanity, but for the sake of uplifting and feeding the people. One of the priests explained the connection between the god Khnum and the rise of the Nile to the king, who then had a dream in which the Nile energy, or the happy energy, spoke to him, promising to end the drought. Imhotep transitioned to the ancestral realm at a grand old age. He was a centenarian. It is clear that he was one of the greatest figures of all time. His memory is enduring, and today when the doctors take their medical oath, they swear by Eschipulos, which is the Greek translation of the name Imhotep, the god of medicine. Imhotep, you still swear by him when you take your Hippocratic oath. Even hypocrites could not deny the fact that he had learned from the great Egyptian, the great Kemetic black man called Imhotep, who came in peace more than 4,000 years ago. Until today, he is being practiced, and the form of medicine we're being practiced only entails part of his Edwin papyrus, or I should call it the Imhotep papyrus. Let's not call the papyrus after European Egyptologists, desecrators. Let's just say it was Imhotep's papyrus. Okay, so give thanks to y'all for listening. That is the great ancestor for today. Born 31st of May, way back, 2630 BCE, way back in the times. So I'd like to give props to Imhotep. Let us continue in the light of that wisdom, because we're in the Tehuti cycle and the solstice. That man was a man of great wisdom, great insights, and you know that he was meditating. You know that he was consulting the oracle. You know he was tapping into his ancestors, his Shepsu, and going to the Word of God. That's the type of thing we did in ancient Kemet. So that's the way he was able to do all these wonderful things. It wasn't him alone. It was his Shepsu behind him. It was the wisdom of Tehuti from the Akashic records beside him, and all the wonderful people he worked with. So let's get back into that, get back into our tradition. Long live the spirit of Imhotep. the great doctor and the living legend and the living God of ancient Kemet, living Christ. Peace and blessings to his spirit, and may he continue to inspire us to heal ourselves, to heal others, and to continue to build. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Teru Nefer, Lala Salama, Dinader, Inakushe, Inakabo. We'll be back on the African Ancestral Manuscript Jellybot channel with more great Shepsu like Imhotep. But let Imhotep carry you through this Tahuti cycle, and guaranteed you will gain so much wisdom that your life will change and be transformed. Ashe.